We are back again in part two of Ambitions and Anxieties. Letting the market decide resource allocation, expand energy and natural resource sectors, increase household investments and consumption, and relax controls over currency and financial markets were things that the China government wanted to do. They implemented the biggest devaluation of the RMB in more than 2 decades in 2015. This was to encourage foreign investment because it would be cheaper to buy things in China. Xi announced an official fight against corruption that could undermine governments and, more importantly, party legitimacy. He cracked down on the tigers and flies, a vigorous anti-corruption drive that took down powerful men who were the tigers and more than 100,000 lower-ranking officials the flies. In 2015, 14 generals were reported to have been convicted or investigated for graft. Xi promoted the nationalist narrative, the China Dream, an emotional appeal for rejuvenation and military greatness. He continues to push a nationalist agenda just as the public began to lose confidence in the CCP's source of legitimacy, ability to deliver economic growth. Through the China Dream movement, Xi acquired a greater degree of power than his predecessors. The central role for education was to train future party leaders, and the CCP would have more influence on higher education. The CCP touted the 7 no's, topics to avoid with students. For example, faculty should not talk about any past failures of the CCP. Chinese leaders saw 3 pillars of the nation: to maintain the political system and unquestioned rule by the CCP, defending sovereignty claims and territorial integrity, and economic development. China became the world's second leading power behind the U.S., predicted to surpass the U.S. by 2025, just 3 years from now. China became the world's largest buyer of oil. In 2016, for the first time, China sent more investments abroad than it received. China offered development loans in return for natural resources extraction rights in many oil and mineral-rich African countries. By 2013, Africa had become China's second largest source of crude oil imports. China and Russia drew closer to balance the U.S. dominance and, to a lesser extent, Europe. Around 2010, China's state-owned development bank outdid the World Bank in issuing international loans. China under Xi began an ambitious program, One Belt, One Road, the land trading route between China through Central Asia and Europe. This program sought to revive the ancient Silk Roads by building ports, roads, rail and telecommunication links with 68 countries. China's defense spending nearly quadrupled since 2002. In 2017, the military budget was $150 billion, making it the second largest military spender after the U.S. China's increasing military capabilities caused widespread concern, complicated by low transparency of the government. The Chinese military remains the world's largest at about 2.3 million compared to the U.S. at 1.4 million. China diplomacy was hesitant and narrowly self-interested, often said what it opposed, but rarely what it actively supported. China's overall economic health mattered globally. Companies and whole countries could suffer setbacks should China's growth engine sputter. The majority of all consumer appliances sold worldwide were assembled in Shenzhen and the surrounding Guangdong province. Problems in factories such as suicides and accidents at Foxconn, a Taiwanese company with hundreds of thousands of workers assembling iPads and iPhones. The one-child policy became the most troubling, contested, sensitive social issues of modern times. The State Planning Commission oversaw coercive measures of forced abortion in makeshift facilities, compulsory intrauterine device insertion, and compulsory sterilization. An estimated 16.4 women and 4.2 men were sterilized. Because of this policy, it was observed that China could become old before it became rich. I'm going to stop there and we'll continue in the next part.